The following presentation of the Browns Comparisons podcast is brought to you by Jerky Sports, and also with Association of Chaos Productions. Without further ado, this is the Browns Comparisons podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Browns Comparisons podcast. I am basically your host, Brown DC. And ladies and gentlemen, I have not really recorded an actual episode, or I haven't really sat down to actually do one. I've done basically some topics about a few things, but I haven't really recorded an actual freaking episode of this. So, anyways, we're gonna be back on hand. We're gonna be talking about AFL in this because this is something that basically I wanted to really look at as we enter pretty much this new season. So first of all, I just have to really go ahead and really talk about really the teams that are pretty much out in the league right now. So this season, we're seeing teams such as the Rams, Falcons, Cowboys, Washington, Pittsburgh, Packers. There's really just 18 teams in the AFL this season, so I'm just gonna go and really hop into this. So, anyways, first of all, we gotta look at basically some of our leading passing statistics so far. Leading the league in passing yardage at this point with 4 games already played so far. It's basically 1GX of pretty much of the New Orleans Saints. V Lucky, a former top pick at QB back in season 10, is getting to work this season, and he basically has thrown 14 touchdowns against 10 receptions so far. Not really surprising there. Vanity having 1,528 yards, 18 touchdowns against 11 interceptions. But unfortunately, the Texans are one of the worst teams in football right now, as they are officially 1-3 at the moment. When you look at what they can do offensively, the Texans have been a very somewhat talented offense. The problem is that what they have is that they have a big issue with defense. And that being said, defensively they have so far been one of the worst defensive teams in football, or in AFL anyway. And I think the obvious reason has basically been shown with just freaking the fact that how they jumped off to a solid lead versus the Saints, but they ended up losing because the basically old defense and offensively just not, and plus offensive struggles. At this point, the Texans have nothing to blame for themselves at this point. It's basically no wonder why. Aside from that, Kyretra, Brad, Death, Finley, Monster Wyatt, a lot of people have just been coming back. This has been a somewhat decent year. For these sides. But yeah. We don't really see much certain players and certain stuff like that, so you feel me? Anyways, the one thing, but QB wise, I want to really talk about some rookie topics. Mainly so far from our first quarterback that we see here, which is the Jets' backup quarterback, Hades Horns, aka it's Donner. I'm not gonna lie though, he's 5 for 6 so far with 64 yards and 1 touchdown. And that, of course, has been so far very decent. The Jets basically have won a game, but unfortunately, his stats came in basically kind of garbage time, so it's unfortunate you basically do see that. And besides that, we did see basically Jackson make his return to QB, and I'll officially say this: he looked garbage as he always does. 15 for 29 so far this season. 327 yards, 3 touchdowns against 3 picks. His most notable game was week 1 for the Packers. 14 for 28, 327 yards, 3 touchdowns against 3 picks as they went go ahead and eventually lose. Not surprised though, because in reality, it's basically what he is. Absolute and complete. You guessed it. Garbage. Anyways, let's go back to rookie QB talks anyways. One quarterback that's getting his first shot in the NFL is Popper 505. Now Popper, I I really I don't know why people don't see much talent in him so far, but have actually seen this guy up close in ASFL, and ladies and gentlemen, the dude reminds me somewhat of Josh Allen. Like, he basically is the guy that loves to go deep, and he's thrown 13 touchdowns against 6 picks so far this season. So him loving to go deep is not really surprising. Meanwhile, I think however, that's nothing compared to what the Ravens have so far. What they're just getting from their rookie quarterback, who has to be, without a doubt, having the best rookie season in AFL history so far. I mean, the last rookie I've seen ball out as hard as this rookie here was Monster Wyatt back in season 11. And Wyatt had a solid good season. He didn't throw an interception until week 5 that season, which was basically a loss to the Patriots and Finley. But so today the rookie quarterback we're going to talk about is Slow Knights. I really haven't really seen him play like in ACFL, but I haven't gotten to see him in side leagues, and he can lead an offense. Like, he's thrown 1,363 yards so far this season, 19 touchdowns against a whopping 0 interceptions. Yes, you don't see rookie quarterbacks usually throwing 0 interceptions in a season. Or at least to start off a season as well, though, too. Like, it really has pretty much surprised. It surprised me well. And as a result of it, I have to go ahead and really give this man basically some credit here for what he has done. I think he basically could very well be one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the AFL, and I think he has Hall of Fame potential. Like, he's not gonna be. I'll be for real. He's not gonna probably be as great as like people like let's just say Kyretra or Death, but like he's gonna be up there like with those in that quarterback class of a possible future Hall of Famers if he keeps playing in the LFL with the rate that he is so far. Or just basically with this first impression. This is basically only a 3-game sample though, so I can't really go ahead and figure out what he likes to do. However, he basically has done a very good job at not coughing up the ball. It's something that you would like to see, that you definitely would love to see from a QB. Look, all the rushing stats. I'm not really surprised how it is so far this season. Gimme goes ahead and leads the way. Mike goes ahead and is behind him. It's overall not really one of those seasons for running, really. So I'm not really surprised that people aren't really running it that much. Besides that, though, let's go ahead and just look at receiving stats. And ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a heated wide receiver of the year race. I'm not saying this from like a weird standpoint. I'm just saying this like from a crazy standpoint in itself. I mean, first of all, we in the representing the Seahawks, we have Mathau looking as he always does, which is basically pretty much elite. 32 catches, 621 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That basically is at the moment one of the best things that you like to go ahead and really see. And there's also better results from this one. The Seahawks, they basically have relied on him as the go-to guy. It's obviously clear that Kyretra really wants him to become the first wide receiver, I believe, in the history of the AFL to go ahead and go for over 2,000 yards in a season. Okay, the second most ever, and break the single season record, because the most ever basically belongs to Kyretra. It's a weird story from season 9. I'll say that from all you old new gens here in watching basically the AFL. Besides that, Jaden basically from the Chiefs, although he basically talks too much as a person, he basically has still made his case as a wide receiver of the year candidate himself. 33 catches, 612 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Fulton on the Steelers, 32 catches, 597 yards, 8 touchdowns, and of course, CTG, aka Marlon, he had an insane game versus the Chiefs. He had 14 catches for 305 yards and 5 touchdowns. Unfortunately, though, the Chiefs pulled away with that last second win, so you hate to really see it, but not really surprised. Overall, if you look at other receivers that are on this list, there's Tixatrola, there's Carter, there's 33 Dell. Someone that I'm actually surprised to really see this one, who had recently who broke out in week 4, was Jeffrey Dahmer, who's now on up to 524 yards on the year. John season for the Texans, he's made somewhat of a strong case. Cactus Jack Ube making a really strong case. Atso 12, North Bronx. Dramatic Load, Stranded 12, Loads Suno. Saintly, Eddie Hova, Vincent, Emerald Skills, and X Clip. They've been some very notable wide receivers as well. Oh yeah, there's also that SMH Gavin guy, or Gavin. I don't know what the hell he spelled it. You honestly need to go ahead and really figure out what the hell is up with his name. But without a doubt, he's so far he's made a bit of a in 2 games so far. He's made a bit of a first impression, but so far, let's see if he'll actually be in the race for wide receiver of the year or some stuff like that. Other players, we see X1K, Diligencies, the Coop Dude, Fake Lol, Kenny, Black Lemonade, Sigs, a lot of players that actually am kind of surprised seeing here on this list is high, but they are pretty good. Oh yeah, it's also worth mentioning that Zayd's Revenge is also someone that has been on a bit of a look himself. 5 catches, 235 yards, and 4 touchdowns. 200 of those yards came versus the Seahawks, but didn't matter as he did eventually lose to them. So, yeah. Meanwhile, when it comes to instant stuff like that, it's basically a battle between Finley and Exo 12. It's because they're both without a doubt one of the better. They're basically are both trying to go on and make their state their case here. And there's literally just no reason why you should count them out. Meanwhile, leading league in actual tackles, that's a bit of a tricky topic. I think it's 17 at the moment by Oweries from the Saints, so smash shout out to him. Meanwhile, when it comes to the defensive line perspective, it's basically still Hikes. It's Hikes run all over again. He's literally has gone ahead and he's picked up 5 sacks so far this season. And he's pretty much line ahead and he's been a menace at QB. But we've seen some other players. The gaming, Will Parker, Crackbricks, and Kaiser. They also are some notable players also seeing some time as well. I mean, meanwhile, something that also really haven't really talked about that they actually added recently is kicking. That, of course, being the PAT stuff, and so far, Vincent's perfect so far in the season for the 49 for the 49ers. He's 17 for 17, as well as Slow Knights, who's also 17 for 17. Anyways, it's pretty much been an interesting little show, and I do think that this AFL season could be a somewhat spectacular one. But at this point, it's what people say it is. But people are also gonna ask me though, do I think that basically anyone here has that there's gonna be anything different this season? I personally I don't really think so. I mean, I do think that Maffo's a wide receiver of the year candidate still. I think he will win wide receiver of the year. I think Kai Rutsch's going to be a QB of the year candidate. And if he fixes his Wi-Fi, he can possibly go back to that MVP form. Right now, leading the MVP race, I'd say it's Finley from the Buccaneers. Meanwhile, for tight end of the year stuff, I think it's a race between Siggs and John Season. A lot of stuff that I can really just cover that I'm not gonna go and really talk about much. But I just do think that there's one person that I do hope that can actually get better as the season progresses. The Slow Knights. Yes, he's so far made a good first impression, but this is the AFL. You can't be sleeping this early though. Like, even though he's basically has made a very good first impression. But once again, he's made a very good first impression. Basically, as if he was Monster Wide back in season 11. But then again, this is once again it's the AFL. Soon you're gonna face against a hard team, and you're gonna have to go and figure it out. Because if you don't, you can end up basically being starting to lose your momentum, and it can possibly go on and it can possibly kill you. So with that basically going ahead and now being said, that's really just basically my little talk about the AFL. This episode because this episode basically is going to be about AFL. I promise that I've been trying to go ahead and lay back more on AFL stuff, but honestly, after seeing like basically what other people try to do podcasts out of, it kind of is very well gone ahead. It's kind of pissed me off that they try to go and do an actual podcast, but they just don't try it. Like, that's actually the next part to really talk about, really. It's just the issue with podcasts in any league. Like, there are leagues that basically you will have the champ set and you actually do like the preseason and everything's looking good, and all of a sudden regular season comes and it becomes poof, that's gone. I mean, there's been podcasts. I think that the global examples. Well, I think back in AFL, like the last time OFL actually had like an actual podcast that went like into the season, I believe was back in 2024. Was with notably with Nike and Xavier Pone. But for me, that was just literally last time. But now, basically, it's OFL news all day, and it's basically ran by yours truly. But it's gonna but that's unfortunately basically is a terms of production that's basically it's sponsored by Jericho Sports, an old thing. Which basically is before we continue more about basically the rest of my conversation, we got to go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsors. This is basically sponsored by Jericho Sports. Go ahead and basically check out the Twitch channel down below in the description. That's where Brown DC, aka myself, goes ahead and we usually go and we stream and we do commentary games a lot. Covering leagues such as the Old Football League, NFL FBU, other stuff. So go ahead and basically follow the Twitch down below in the description. So let's go ahead and get on to this. But yeah. Some people go ahead and they treat like legitimate podcasts that one sees a lot of work put into it as like basically a freaking hoax. Because I think the reason why for it is that there's just literally people that go all out and actually talk about, actually figure this shit out. And, they actually went ahead and they do it right, but they're just people that make like troll podcasts, but they get recognition for it. I don't understand why to this day. It just bugs me. Actually, not gonna lie though, a lot of things can also go ahead and can bug me. Like basically how a league is ran and some stuff like that. I'm just basically kind of saying a bit of a thing. Anyways, there's not really much I can really talk about. But anyways, with that being said, those who actually went ahead and actually really listen to this, since I don't really post stuff here anymore, or just basically kind of talk here anymore. But yeah, thank you guys so much for at least trying to watch. If you guys do enjoy the podcast, be sure at least go ahead and basically recommend to other people. Links down below to basically pretty much our main sponsor, which is Jericho Sports, down below in the description. Go ahead and basically check out the Chaostopia YouTube channel, which would be at this end card. Well, kind of at this end part here. And aside from that, thank you guys so much for going and watching this episode of the Browns Comparisons Podcast, AFL Edition. This is Brown DC. And I will basically, we'll see you guys next time in the next episode. Till then, peace out. Have a nice night.